Hi y'all, I wanted to thank you for clicking on this video, and if you are a subscriber, thank you. If you're not, please consider subscribing, like, share, comment, help our little channel grow. Give you a little warning before we start this video. It's about child abduction and a mention of sexual assault. There has been a documentary made about this event and it's been released on Hulu. There's 4 parts to it, and Morgan Nick's family all participate in this documentary. And it was just released this year in 2023. The film director is a native of Arkansas. So let's talk about Morgan Shante Nick. She was born to parents John and Colleen Nick on September the 12th of 1988. She was actually born in Europe. Her parents were in the military, or at least her father was. After 10 years in the military, this family is ready to move back to where they have family members located in Arkansas. They actually moved to Ozark, Arkansas, and when Morgan was born, she was a surprise. They knew they were expecting a baby and they thought it was a boy. But of course, she come out a beautiful little girl. Once back in Arkansas, they have a son and a daughter. So 3 kids altogether. Colleen wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, needed an income, so she opened up a licensed daycare in her home. Colleen describes her daughter as shy until she got to know you. She thought bubblegum was a food group. She is silly, and she helped her mom with the other kids. She was stubborn but fiercely compassionate. Was learning to read and would read to her brother every night. She joined the track team at school, but after her first practice, she come home and told her mom she wanted to quit. She said they had to run and sweat. She didn't like it, she didn't want to run, and she didn't want to sweat. Me and her would have got along great. I can relate. Morgan ended up joining the Girl Scouts. She loved animals, but mainly she loved cats. Her parents took her to adopt a cat, and her mom says she walked around and found the scrawniest, tiniest cat. It was actually a kitten. She does adopt the tiny little kitten, and she names it Emily. Colleen had opened up a at-home childcare, and when the children had all left for that day on a Friday, June the 9th of 1995, she bathed her 3 children, cooked them all grilled cheese sandwiches. Her and Morgan headed out for Alma, Arkansas. They had been invited by friends to watch a Little League baseball game. Alma, Arkansas was about 30 miles from Ozark, Arkansas. Morgan Nick was 6 years old at the time. Logan was 3 and Tyron was 1. The 2 youngest children stayed behind with their grandparents. Morgan sits on the bleachers with her mom. Kids were playing all around this area until about 9 p.m. when 10-year-old Ty and 8-year-old Jessica asked Morgan to go catch fireflies. Her mom tells her no. Morgan really wanted to go play. Her mom started to feel guilty. She does say that she had a gut feeling. She had a bad feeling about letting Morgan go play. Colleen had been called overprotective before, so she gives in and she lets Morgan go play with these 2 kids. Morgan is so excited, she kisses her mom on the cheek and hugs her. Takes off to go play with these other 2 young kids. Colleen can see all 3 kids playing in the parking lot. Parking lot kind of overlooked the ball field. Colleen says she checked on Morgan 3 to 4 times, and each time all 3 kids were in the same area and found some piles of sand and were playing on them. Colleen or Morgan had never been to this ball field before. It was small, there were no restrooms and no concession stand. This game was rescheduled due to rain in the area. The game ends and Colleen heads to her car. She sees Ty and Jessica headed back to the ball field. She did not see her daughter Morgan. These 2 kids tell Colleen Morgan had stopped at her car to empty sand out of her shoe. Colleen goes on towards her car. People are leaving the game. The game is over. The parking lot's starting to thin out. People are starting to thin out. And like any mother would, Colleen starts to get worried and frantic. She notifies her friends and other adults she cannot find her daughter. At 11:07 p.m., a call is made to Alma Police Department stating there is a missing child off of Walnut Street. Police arrive within minutes. Residents of this area and that were at this game are already searching for Morgan. Morgan had last been seen playing on the Hilltop parking lot overlooking the field. That area was covered in Coke cans and cigarette butts. Police reach out to Ty and Jessica's parents, want to know what these 2 kids recall. These 2 children tell authorities after playing on sand piles, Morgan stopped to empty her shoes off, and Ty says when Morgan started to tie her shoes, he took off, and Jessica had already ran ahead. He says he thought Morgan was right behind him. They both say they saw a white male with a scruffy beard. This white male had on short. They both give a description of chest hair. Can't remember if he had a shirt on or if his shirt was just unbuttoned, but they both recall chest hair. He was sitting in the driver's seat of a red truck with a white camper that did not fit on the truck. The door of the driver's seat was open and he was smoking a cigarette. His vehicle was parked right beside where Morgan was last seen at. The next day, these two children are brought into the police department. A sketch of this individual is drawn. No one else at this game recalls this man or this truck. Colleen and John were cleared of Morgan's disappearance immediately. Had no involvement. John, Morgan's dad, has been under scrutiny from the public, but the police say he's been cleared, so in my book, he's cleared. Has come out and said he does not care if people talk about him or what they say, so long as they are talking about him. They are talking about Morgan. 4 days later, a home video was turned into the police department of that ball game, of that field. Authorities do see that red truck and the white camper. Police start going through all kinds of videos from all kinds of games in that area, and that same truck with the camper was also spotted at another game. But local authorities have no idea who is driving this truck or whose truck this is. Miss Colleen did not leave Alma for 3 weeks. She started staying at the volunteer fire department. It kind of served as an unofficial search headquarters for Morgan Nick. I don't blame her. I wouldn't have left either. I can't imagine not knowing where my child is at. Months turn into years and years. These parents are left wondering where their child is at. 2019, Chief of Police was resigning after 24 years on the department. The new chief immediately reaches out to the Nick family. His name is Jeff Pointer. He tells them he is going to go back and begin reviewing all of the information that had been gathered. At this point, it had been 25 years since Morgan had been missing, and Morgan Nick was the only child missing from this area that had never been recovered. They had over 8,300 leads in this case, and he talked about different sketch composites and spoke of an attempted abduction at a local laundromat that took place, and that person had never been caught. In August of 1997, investigators released a new sketch combined with the sketch of Ty and Jessica's and the man from the laundromat. This new chief of police says he was going to focus on facts, details, and specifics. Him and his team began to look through initial witness statements, the red truck that had been parked next to Colleen. Jessica and Ty had recalled this man and his red truck and the camper, and they even go on to say he had actually got out of his truck and leaned on the front of it. But at this time, they are the only two who recall this man at the game. This new detective goes back to different events that happened that day in Alma, Arkansas. So he discovers that a local teenager, a female, was walking down the street when a red truck drove past her. He puts the truck in reverse and backs up to this young lady. This individual has the passenger window slightly open. He asks if she would like a ride to downtown Alma. She tells the man no, but the man does not move. She walks off and leaves him sitting there. He eventually does drive off. Downtown Alma is where this ball game was actually held. Second encounter with this man, 2 young girls, 5 and 6 years old, are playing near the street. Their mom says they come running in screaming. Their mom goes to look to see what's wrong, and what did she see? A red truck with a white camper. These children tell their mother a white male yelled at them for walking in the road, and they saw this truck turn onto Walnut Street that leads straight to that ball field. There was a 4th encounter with this red truck and this white male group of boys riding their bicycles in the street. This individual yells at them to get out of the street. 5th encounter with this white male and this red truck was with Morgan, Jessica, and Ty at the ball field. There was a 6th encounter of this red truck being photographed near the ball field. And the 7th encounter is an undisclosed location. A group of teenagers who were driving saw a vehicle parked that matched the description of the red truck and the white camper. When these group of teenagers hear of Morgan's disappearance, they report this incident to local authorities. Also say it appeared that the driver was holding down a child in the driver's seat. They lead local authorities to this area, but at this time the area was under 4 feet of water. There have been some suspects in Morgan Nick's disappearance, one being Charles Ray Vine, a River Valley killer. He had raped and killed 2 elderly women. This man, he was very evil. He did a whole lot of stuff. Authorities actually make a deal with him to question him on other cases. A jailhouse informant said he had actually confessed to Morgan's abduction, but by the time investigators get around to questioning him, he is in a coma from cancer. He never recovers and he dies. Authorities do know this man did have access to a red truck and a white camper. It was not his vehicle, but he had access to this vehicle. Authorities searched his property with excavators and search dogs, but nothing of Morgan Nick was found. Billy Jack Links has been named a suspect in 2022. Local authorities say they have been looking at him for years. In August of 1995, Links attempted to abduct an 11-year-old girl in Van Buren, Arkansas, about 8 miles from where Morgan had been abducted. 2 months after her disappearance, 11-year-old girl from the Sonic with her brother and a few of his friends were approached by a white male in a red truck. He pulls up and starts talking to them. They start walking away. He pulls up beside them and is waving money at them, offering these boys money to go get a drink, wanting these kids to leave him alone with this young lady. But these kids are smart. They don't go and they don't fall for the money. This man starts making sexual comments, offering this young lady money to come home with him. She was 11 years old. He also drops a cigarette and asks her to pick it up. Authorities believe he was trying to get her closer to the truck where he could grab her. Definitely believe he was trying to get her alone so he could snatch her. These children report this to local authorities. They tell he was drunk, sped off and hit a pole. And this also calls in and tells about the red truck looking like the truck that had picked up Morgan Nick. This individual also wrote down the license plate number. Thank God for this man, right? This truck comes back registered to Link. They find the truck damaged from where he had hit that pole. He is cooperative, but when they ask him about trying to get that young lady for sexual solicitation, they arrest him and impound his vehicle. Van Buren Police Department notify the FBI about the vehicle and that it's believed to be connected to Morgan Nick. Link's truck was a red 1986 Chevy with a dent in the front of the vehicle. None of the evidence from that 1995 arrest or the search of that vehicle can be found in any kind of evidence or log. Van Buren Police Department do say that Links passed a polygraph and he died in prison in 2000 at the age of 76, 3 years prior to any evidence about him being connected to Morgan Nick's disappearance came out. 3 years prior to Morgan Nick's abduction, Links was accused of sexually assaulting a family member of his. It was reported to local authorities, but he never served any time for it. Investigators run the VIN number to Link's old truck, and thank God they do find it. It had been auctioned off from the police that had impounded it, and it was actually located about 30 miles from Alma, Arkansas. An individual had bought it, hoping to work on it with his grandson. Authorities observed the markers where the camper had been setting. Authorities removed what they believed to be the original floor cover and found one single blonde hair. A spot of blood was also found, but it wasn't enough to match any DNA from that blood spot. They do know it was blood. Fibers were located under the seat, the driver's seat, floor mat, and carpet. The metal padding and brackets that were of a blue-green color. The truck was torn apart looking for any evidence Morgan Nick had been in this vehicle. Authorities send in a matching t-shirt Morgan had on from the time era Morgan had been wearing her shirt. It was actually a green Girl Scout t-shirt. They do find some material was microscopically and optically had the same characteristics as what Morgan Nick was wearing the day she vanished. This fiber they had found in this truck did match Morgan Nick's t-shirt. Let me just be clear with that. Colleen Nick went on to establish the Morgan Nick Foundation to support all families of missing children, but she also helps adults who have missing loved ones. She goes to schools to educate children. She has helped a lot of people who have missing loved ones in Arkansas. I just want to tell Miss Colleen, all of us in Arkansas, we love you and we appreciate you for the dedication and all the hard work you do in Arkansas for helping others. Thank you, Miss Colleen. The FBI came out in 2022 and asked the public, if anyone knew Links, please come forward. If you are a victim of his, please come forward. If you knew him from school, grade school, high school, military, they do not know much about Links' life. They just want to fill in some gaps. His full name is Billy Jack Link. Morgan Nick has been missing for 28 years. Today is her birthday. If you know anything, please come forward. This family deserves to know where their daughter is at. They deserve answers. The FBI says Billy Jack Links was born and raised in Crawford County in Arkansas. He served with the U.S. Army during World War II. He then worked at Braniff Airlines in Dallas, Texas, 1962 to 1974. Then returned to Van Buren, Arkansas, sometime in the late 1970s. The FBI says no detail is too small or insignificant to know about Billy Jack Link. If you have any information, please come forward. You can call 1-800-CALL-FBI. If you want to remain anonymous, you can notify the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call Alma Police Department or just your local police department. If you know anything, please do the right thing. Y'all stay safe out there and thank you for listening.